Hi, I'm Leah Revellato from the Food Allergy Institute. I'm excited to talk to you today, and I'm grateful that you're joining us. I, like many of you, struggled to become a mother. My path to motherhood seemed to be different and unique, but as I talk to more and more women, I find out that there is no regular path to motherhood. There's no one single way. All those stories and all those movies that show that, people just become mothers in one single way is a myth. Um, After years of infertility and the loss of our twin sons in 2008, my husband and I became parents again through adoption. We were blessed with a young son in 2010 and then again through adoption in 2012. And from the outside, I had it all together. From my Facebook feed, my kids were happy. My husband and I both had fulfilling careers. We were successful. We went on fun and interesting vacations. You could see that my older son had food allergies and some medical conditions that we struggled with, but we could handle it. Nothing that we couldn't handle. What you couldn't see from my Facebook feed and from sort of that outside in is that I was struggling. I was broken. I was living with crushing anxiety. My kids were happy, wasn't all a lie. My husband and I generally liked each other. Our marriage was pretty stable. We did have great jobs. Our vacations were fun. But I was running on caffeine and wine. I was constantly worried about my son having another life-threatening anaphylactic reaction. I was constantly worried that I wasn't performing well at work because when I was at work, I was worried about my children. When I was with my children and my husband and my friends, I was worried that I wasn't the most up to date on my work, or I was forgetting something, or I just wasn't doing the best. And it all came to head. I got the dreaded call. My son was in an ambulance as a result of an anaphylactic reaction. Like any other parent, I threw my stuff in a bag and ran out of a conference room. A colleague's words trailed me. Oh, another mom vacation. Ugh. It was not a vacation. It was far from it. I rushed to the hospital where I met my son and his teacher, where he was in the ICU being revived and stabilized from a life-threatening anaphylactic reaction. I had to make a change. So I left corporate America. I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. My husband was supportive of this. It didn't work for me. I was still miserable. I was still stressed out. I didn't know how to help my family. I didn't know how to quiet the anxiety around me. I looked for doctors, for psychologists, for life coaches, for a guru, really anyone to help me. My life was so unsettled and so unstable. My children, my husband, I just felt like our mental and physical health were at risk. I could not find anyone to help me. No one could give me the practical advice I so desperately needed. I wanted to scream from the rooftops, help me! There just wasn't anyone. So I decided I was not alone. I could not possibly be the only one crying at my kitchen sink out of stress and anxiety and worry. I could not be the only person with a chronically ill child who didn't have it all together. It's true, I'm not. There's 34 million Americans with food allergies, not to mention parents who parent children with diabetes, epilepsy, other chronic conditions. I was not alone. So I went back to school. I became the expert I needed. I got my master's in child and adolescent psychology. I went to work for food allergy research and education, and I learned everything I could. I talked to tons of parents, I did research, and I became the expert I needed. I learned how to advocate for parents, how to advocate for children at school, what I needed, how to do self-care. And self-care is not hygiene. So if you brush your teeth this morning by yourself, that is not self-care. That is hygiene. So I figured it out, and that's why I got my life together. That's how I got my life together. So now I want to help you get your life together. What I do every day, day in and day out, is help women like you. And it starts small. It's little tiny pieces of effort, of asking for help, One of the most common things I see in my practice is women, men, fathers, mothers, even people with chronic illness are so desperate to not look afraid, to not look weak, is to ask for help. So the first thing I want you to do, if you're struggling like I was, if you are feeling stressed and anxious and alone, if you're feeling isolated, 32% of parents with chronically ill child feel anxious and depressed and isolated, way more than mothers and fathers of children without chronic illness. Is I want you to really look around at your life. Is how you're living sustainable? I'm guessing it's not. I'm guessing it's not leading for your most passionate purpose. It's not going to lead you to a long, fulfilling life and career. So if what you're doing right now is not sustainable, I want you to take out a piece of paper and really list out what are the things that's working in your life and what's not working. I want you to take a minute and really sit. I'll wait for a minute. Have that paper, or grab your phone, grab your computer, whatever's close by. I want you to list out 5 things that are working for you. What is great? Who's your best friend? Who is that person you can call at 3 a.m. just to talk? Are you and your spouse on the same page? Is your children's teacher working with you to make sure they are safe, to make sure they're included? Because if they are safe medically, are they safe and included emotionally? One of the things that I love talking to people about is just because our children are medically safe does not mean they're psychologically safe. Schools will often put children of different needs and different abilities separated. So if your child has, say, a food allergy, they may put them at a different table at lunch. That is not keeping them included. That is putting a target on their back that says, this kid is different and we are going to separate them. That is not included. In fact, research has shown that kids who have, or schools that have separate tables for, say, peanut allergies, actually have a higher instances of needing to use their epinephrine auto-injectors by 25%. Whereas schools who make the time and the effort to become educated on safe cleaning procedures and how to teach kids how to wash hands and not share, do a much better job of not only reducing bullying because of food allergies, but teaching kids how to be inclusive. So come along with me and really work with your schools on how to keep kids safe and included. Part of that is keeping your kids' mental health. So do you have those 5 things? What's working? Great. Keep those by you. Now, flip that paper over, grab another sheet on your phone, whatever you're writing on. What's not working? Go ahead, write it down. Is your morning crazy? Is your employer not getting that you are going to show up and work the best you can? You're going to give it your all, but maybe you can only be there for 6 hours because you have to take your kid to therapy those other 2. Although in this time of coronavirus, we all have found out maybe that meeting really could have been an email. Are you worried and don't feel like you're fully informed in everything that you need to do? Do you feel like you're running in 100 places when we can all be out and running? Think about what you can say no to. One of the favorite things I like to share with people, and it's not a big secret, is you can say no. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone anything. If you can't do a volunteer activity, trust me, they'll find someone else to fill it. I used to be the volunteer for everything and anything until I realized my own mental stability, my children's mental stability, my marriage, my life was going to crash. I could not do it all. You can't do it all. No one can do it all. That myth of everyone doing it all and being the superhero is just that, a myth. If you look at Oprah, who's one of the world's most successful people, Martha Stewart, Jennifer Gardner, who's, everyone's favorite mom, they all have tons of help, and they will admit, in order to get where they are, they have had help. They have had to say no. Not that they didn't work hard, but they have had help, and they have said no. If your child eats differently or you eat differently, you don't need to explain it. You just need to explain that this is our rules, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're doing it. No, we do not do X, Y, and Z. That's it. So no matter what you're struggling with, I want you to really look at where you want to be, what's working, what's not, and where do you want to go. My business was formed out of seeing that my life was not sustainable. My son and his chronic illness, and my other child who felt like he was being pushed to the side, or at least I felt like he was being pushed to the side, was not fulfilling anyone. So I became that expert I needed. I changed my life to become a better mother, a better wife, and an advocate for you and your family. So join me now in writing down and really thinking about, what's the purpose? Why are you here? What are you doing with your life day in and day out? If you wake up stressed and anxious and go to bed the same way, let's look at how we can change what you're doing and how we can make your days filled with joy, happiness, and ease. When you have a child with chronic illness, there's always going to be a bit of anxiety, a bit of stress, but there's definitely ways we can work together to manage it. Have a great day, everyone, and thanks for joining me.